First encounter and confrontation. The Galactic Federation's diplomatic hall fell into a tense hush as Earth's ambassador Chen Wei stepped up to the speaker's dais. 57 alien delegations observed her with varying blends of interest and unease. Humans, after all, were the newest addition to the Federation, having only been discovered 3 standard cycles prior, and their unpredictable behavior continued to baffle even seasoned xenosociologists. Ambassador Chen offered a courteous smile to the assembly before directly addressing the matter at hand. The Human Confederation understands the Drax Empire's apprehensions regarding our recent expansion into the Orion Arm. However, we must courteously reject your demand to cease colonization on territories that, as per Federation Charter, have been jointly recognized as unclaimed. The Drax delegate, War Commander Kissick, stood to his full 3-meter height, iridescent scales shimmering with suppressed rage, the gill structures on his neck flaring ominously. The Universal Translator struggled to smooth out the aggression dripping from his reply. The Drax do not request human. We warn. Your species has been part of galactic civilization for less than an instant, yet you multiply like a spreading disease. Our empire ruled for 10,000 cycles before your kind even discovered fire. Chen's smile remained composed. Those familiar with humans noted that her gaze remained uncannily steady. We honor the Drax Empire's long and esteemed role in galactic affairs. Earth seeks only peaceful cooperation and shared prosperity. She gently clasped her hands atop the podium. Perhaps we could form a joint colonial committee to address your concerns regarding equitable resource allocation. Several Federation delegates exchanged glances. The human response was typical, unfailingly diplomatic. Too diplomatic. Where most species might have conceded or retaliated to assert dominance, the humans held fast in a measured calm. War Commander Kissick's secondary breathing slits hissed, the Drax version of a derisive laugh. The humans send their females to bargain while their warriors skulk in the shadows. And you claim descent from a Class 12 death world? Perhaps that designation was overstated. Behind Chen, Admiral Rohan Jackson stood silently, his expression unreadable. Leader of Earth's military contingent, he had been directed to observe only. Even as the Drax insulted humanity's honor, culture, and evolution in a single breath, Jackson's only reaction was to adjust his cuffs. The Federation's moderator, a Tauran diplomat of a famously impartial species, tried steering the discussion. Perhaps we should consult the territorial guidelines as outlined in Section 87 of The Human Female Sidesteps the Challenge, Kissick interjected, his tone scathing. This aligns with what our intelligence suspects. Your kind expands swiftly, because you face no true predators in this region. He leaned forward, membranous wings partially unfurling in a gesture unmistakably threatening across species lines. The Drax have ruled as apex predators in this galaxy for eons. We were forged to detect frailty. Chen's expression remained gracious, but some nearby observers noted a shift in Admiral Jackson's stance. Subtle, but the realignment of his weight drew the attention of every military mind in the room. I believe, Chen said, voice smooth and unbothered, that Federation law favors nonviolent resolution in matters of territorial contention. Earth adheres firmly to this doctrine. War Commander Kissick jabbed a clawed digit toward the human envoy. 3 cycles ago you were isolated on your tiny azure world. Now you occupy 17 planets. Your pace of advancement defies all projections. The Drax know a threat when they see one. For the first time, Chen's unwavering smile dimmed. Earth harbors no hostility toward any Federation nation. Our rapid development speaks to adaptability, not hostility. Then prove it, Kissick demanded. Abandon the Orion colonies at once. Those planets were unclaimed upon our arrival, Chen answered, her voice still measured. We have since cultivated stable ecosystems and established civilian infrastructure. Withdrawal is not a reasonable option. The chamber's environmental regulators strained to stabilize the air as the Drax commander's body heat surged with emotion. Prelude to confrontation. If your species truly has no instinct for violence, War Commander Kisik declared, then the Drax Empire officially challenges Earth's presence in these regions. His voice echoed across the Grand Chamber. By ancient Federation statute, we invoke the right of superior claim. One fleet versus another. The victor shall possess the contested systems. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. The right of superior claim hadn't been enacted in over 700 standard cycles. It was an archaic clause from the Federation's formative era, permitting regulated combat to resolve disputes without triggering full interstellar war. All attention turned toward the human envoys. Most anticipated a swift concession. Earth's military capabilities were considered rudimentary compared to long-established powers like the Drax. Their starships were reliable but lacked elegance. Their weaponry worked but lacked finesse. Admiral Jackson leaned in, murmuring something to Ambassador Chen. She listened attentively, then gave a single, decisive nod. "The Human Confederation acknowledges your challenge," Chen announced, her voice unwavering. "As the challenged party, we designate the Proxima Centauri neutral zone as the engagement site. Federation standard battle protocols shall be followed." A shift passed over War Commander Kisik's features, what his kind would interpret as a pleased expression. The Drax accept these terms. In 7 rotations, we will remind the galaxy why some species must be taught their place. While the Federation moderator scrambled to refamiliarize himself with the rarely used military engagement statutes, Admiral Jackson received a high-priority alert through his neural interface. After scanning the data, he lightly touched Ambassador Chen's shoulder and whispered something again. Chen's diplomatic poise held firm, though those well-versed in human body language might have detected a fleeting spark of resolve. "There is one final clarification," she addressed the Drax. "Given the official nature of this challenge, the Human Confederation states that all standing diplomatic courtesies will be suspended for the duration of the engagement. Earth will proceed. Under Directive 17, the phrase meant little to most Federation delegates, but Admiral Jackson adjusted his uniform with something approaching professional satisfaction. War Commander Kisik waved a claw dismissively. "Hide behind your cryptic regulations if you must. The outcome is inevitable. The Drax have never been defeated in a formal challenge." "Nor have humans," Chen answered simply. "We anticipate an enlightening experience." As Earth's delegation exited the chamber, observers noted how other species subtly parted to create a broader path than required. Though humans were known for courtesy and moderation, their composed acceptance of what appeared to be a doomed engagement sparked quiet unease. In the Federation's private security monitoring station, the Tan security chief turned to his Arcturian counterpart with unease. "What exactly is this Directive 17 the human mentioned?" The Arcturian analyst consulted restricted Federation archives concerning Earth's military doctrines. After several moments, she looked up, her expression conveying deep perplexity. "There's only one citation," she said, quoting from a recorded interview with an Earth general during initial contact protocols. When questioned about their interstellar military strategy, General Omar Santiago replied, "Earth abides by 17 core doctrines. The first 16 govern diplomacy, cultural respect, and peaceful conduct. Directive 17 is simple. Stop being polite." The Tan chief's sensory tendrils curled with confusion. "That's it? Stop being polite? What does that even imply?" The Arcturian's photoreceptors dimmed in a gesture akin to alarm. "I'm unsure, but I'm suddenly very motivated to revisit Earth's Death World rating, and I advise we reinforce the observation shielding around the Proxima Centauri neutral zone. 7 days later, the galaxy would come to understand precisely what occurred when humanity ceased to be polite." Earth Awakens, the Proxima Centauri neutral sector vibrated with energy as Federation monitoring vessels maneuvered into place at a safe observational radius. The formal contest between the Drax Empire and the Human Confederation had attracted unparalleled attention. Betting markets across 17 sectors overwhelmingly favored the Drax, with odds against humanity so wide they seemed comical. Aboard the ECS Tenacity, Admiral Jackson stood silently at the helm, arms behind his back, eyes fixed on the tactical array. Earth's so-called primitive fleet was taking shape. 12. Warships, an assortment of destroyers, cruisers, and auxiliary vessels, aligned themselves in a standard defensive grid. To a seasoned tactician, the maneuvering seemed strictly by the book. The unveiling. But the setup feels uninspired. Admiral Commander Sofia Rodriguez reported. All vessels confirmed Directive 17 authentication. Awaiting your final go. Jackson gave a nod. Status of civilian monitoring? Federation observers are stationed at the safe boundary. 17 diplomatic surveillance ships have checked in. All non-combatants cleared. At proper distance. Federation Security Council delegates escorted to the observation platform as requested. Excellent. Jackson's attention never wavered from the tactical grid. Initiate Lazarus Protocol. Authorization, Jackson 7 Delta. Then, throughout Earth's fleet, something extraordinary occurred. The ships, which had appeared basic and almost outdated, began to shift. Hull sections once assumed ornamental or structural unfolded, exposing concealed armament ports. Propulsion systems previously registering as standard fusion arrays reshaped, revealing sophisticated gravitational field tech. Inside the observation gallery, Federation officials stared in disbelief. Earth ships seemed to morph in real time. "What are we seeing?" the TON security delegate asked. Captain Maya Okafor, serving as the human liaison, offered a calm smile. Earth has kept certain technologies off the record. Directive 17 authorizes full deployment. Federation personnel exchanged alarmed looks. This revelation had vast implications. For 3 galactic cycles, Earth had posed as merely competent, nothing more than a rising species adapting to galactic life. "You've been hiding capabilities," the Arcturian envoy observed, their compound eyes flashing urgent colors. "This violates Federation openness protocols." "With respect," Okafor replied, "we've violated no statutes. Optional disclosure rules under Article 42.7 grant all members sovereignty over indigenous technologies not derived from Federation research. On the main display, the transformation reached completion. What were once 12 moderate-class ships now stood as a reconfigured high-threat fleet. Stealth generators once dormant flared into active use, building interlinked defensive zones. Weapon emplacements that had masqueraded as kinetic platforms now activated as directed energy turrets, far beyond Earth's advertised arsenal. "The Drax fleet has entered the combat area," Rodriguez announced. 37 vessels confirmed. "Heavy cruiser profile with full escort wings." Jackson nodded. "Status of Athena forces?" Rodriguez checked her neural channel. "Standing by, fully loaded, ready for orders. Execute Phase 2. Across Earth's fleet, panels slid. Open, releasing swarms of fighter craft, unlike any previously seen from humanity. These new units moved with startling elegance, almost unnatural in speed, leaving no detectable propulsion trace on standard Federation sensors. The Medusan delegates' sensory waves flared with confusion. "Those ships, they're warping local space-time. That tech's impossible at your stage of advancement." Captain Okafor tilted her head ever so slightly. "Is it?" The Drax Armada approached with confident precision, every movement radiating Predator assurance. Their broadcast opened on all frequencies, offering a final spectacle to the Federation audience. "Attention, human vessels!" War Commander Kisik declared, voice booming across systems. We offer you one last chance to retreat with dignity. Surrender, and you may retain your home system plus 3 colonies of our choosing. Admiral Jackson opened the response link. This is Admiral Rohan Jackson, representing Earth's Confederation. Message received. After a deliberate pause, he added, Request denied. Then prepare to face the cost of your arrogance, Kissick replied. This day will mark the moment humanity was reminded of its place. Jackson looked to Rodriguez. Commander, initiate neural integration for Athena deployment. Let's introduce the Drax to our best. Fleet-wide, new compartments unlocked, revealing transports designed for one task, delivering Earth's elite. The Federation observers could only watch as the crafts launched, strangely precise, disturbingly fast, behaving as if time itself bent to the pilot's will. The Arcturian delegate's mind raced. Those reactions, those aren't human reflexes. What have you engineered? Okafor maintained her composed tone, but her pride flickered through. Earth's been labeled a Class 12 death world since first contact. Did anyone ever ask how we survived long enough to reach space? On the combat grid, the specialized fighters moved closer to the Drax lines. But instead of traditional strike paths, they performed feats that defied standard military logic, slipping through Drax formations like they'd predicted them in advance. The Reckoning. They shouldn't even exist, Captain Okafor continued, voice calm yet resonant. Humanity evolved under relentless adversity. Our bodies were forged in high gravity through poisonous air, brutal temperature swings, and a biosphere teeming with predators. Our minds didn't just adapt to overcome, we adapted to outthink, to survive what we couldn't destroy. That instinct never faded. Technology didn't replace it, it enhanced it. The Drax fired first, an opening salvo of devastating energy meant to overwhelm. But the Athena contingent was no longer where the weapons struck. They moved with preternatural precision, dodging before attacks landed, reacting faster than thought. Okafor gestured to the display as Federation delegates stood in stunned silence. These aren't ordinary pilots. The Athena units are symbionts, human minds merged with quantum AI, a fusion of biology and machine intelligence. Together, they operate at speeds and complexity beyond either alone. On the tactical grid, the Drax formations, once flawless, began to shatter. What was expected to be a textbook annihilation now descended into chaos. Confusion spread among the Drax as they realized they'd underestimated their opponent. Their perfect plan had met a force they didn't understand. Admiral Jackson remained impassive. Initiate Phase 3. Authorize Perseus deployment. Confirmed, Rodriguez replied. Across Earth's fleet, yet another layer was revealed. Support modules detached, transforming into exotic weapon platforms. Their targeting systems didn't use conventional vectors. They locked on using principles the Federation hadn't even theorized. One Tan scientist turned to another, whispering, They're using gravitic distortions, conscious link targeting, quantum-locked trajectories. These technologies took us millennia to master. The Drax scrambled to regroup. Defensive postures formed. Panicked orders flew across their comms. On the Federation frequency, War Commander Kissick's transmission cracked with disbelief. This cannot be. No species hides this much capability. No honorable power feigns weakness while building supremacy in secret. Admiral Jackson replied with chilling calm. The Confederation never claimed inferiority, Commander. We simply let you believe your assumptions. As stated at challenge acceptance, diplomatic protocols have been suspended. We are no longer being polite. On the battlefield, human squadrons launched a synchronized assault. Their attacks weren't random, they were surgical, precise, measured, not designed to obliterate but to incapacitate. The Federation observers turned to Okafor, their faces a spectrum of awe, confusion, and dread. Why? the Arcturian delegate asked. "Why hide this for so long?" Okafor's expression softened, but her voice carried the weight of history. "Because we remember. In our past, revealing strength too early meant destruction. When we learned we were not alone, we made a choice. We would join this galaxy not as conquerors, but as students. We would listen, learn, observe, but always be ready, if the time came, to show what we were capable of." On the display, the Drax fleet was unraveling. What began as a symbolic challenge had become something else, a total and unanticipated dismantling of a dominant force by one dismissed as primitive. "They made a fatal assumption," Okafor continued. "They confused restraint with weakness, politeness with passivity, patience with fear." She turned back to the display. "This is what happens when humans stop being polite." As the battle neared its end, Admiral Jackson remained composed. Every move, every revelation unfolded exactly as planned. A strategy centuries in the making, designed to keep humanity safe in a universe where perception could be as deadly as reality. Across the galaxy, viewers slowly began to understand. This wasn't just warfare. It was a turning point. The balance of power had shifted, quietly, irreversibly. War Commander Kissik's flagship convulsed under a targeted strike. Its legendary shielding, once thought impenetrable, buckled. Warning klaxons shrieked. Displays failed. Control systems cascaded into critical failure. "This is impossible," Kissick rasped, stress pheromones thick in the air. "Their weapons bypass layers we've encrypted for centuries." His tactical officer, face drawn with fatigue and disbelief, turned. 30% of our ships disabled, Commander, not destroyed." "Disabled. They're sparing us." His voice dropped, bitter. "They mock us with mercy." Kick growled, "Initiate the Sundering Protocol. If we're to lose this challenge, we'll make sure the humans inherit only ruin." The Sundering Protocol, a last-ditch armament designed to rupture localized space-time, was outlawed by Federation mandate. Activating it would breach challenge codes and qualify as a war atrocity. Still, Kick, confronting the first loss of his prestigious command, cast aside the honor long central to Drac military philosophy. On board the ECS Tenacity, Admiral Jackson reviewed intel relayed by the Athena Division. "Sir," said Commander Rodriguez, neural interface flickering with streaming data, "we're registering power traces linked to banned tech aboard the Drevex flagship." Jackson nodded, unshocked. "Expected. Initiate Herm's protocol. Jackson authorization." Across the human fleet, dormant mechanisms engaged. Unseen fields of finely tuned quantum particles spread in waves, converging on Drevex ships. Where they touched, power systems ceased, and weapons shut down, not destroyed, but suspended by reworking the basic physics that enabled their operation. On Federation observer crafts, experts and analysts looked on, speechless, as the once feared Drevex fleet ground to a halt. "Unreal," murmured the Aruan scientist. "They're altering base force laws, from range. That tech should be no more than theory." From the Tenacity's viewing deck, Captain Okafor addressed the Federation envoy. "When humans discovered other sentience in the galaxy, we faced a question. How do the young endure among ancients? Our answer," he continued, "was neither attack nor surrender, but preparation." On tactical screens, the Drax command ship floated, lifeless, as human units moved in and initiated boarding sequences. "This advancement contradicts all human tech histories," the TAN delegate protested. "Records show your FTL development was just 100 years ago." Okafor's smile was measured. "Our records show exactly what we intended them to. Earth has long embraced tech secrecy, even before Federation entry. We've only shown what we must, retaining deep reserves for emergencies." "Your entire civilization's image has been fabricated," accused the Medusan official. Not fabrication, Okafor corrected. Strategy. On Earth, survival sometimes meant looking weak rather than strong. We applied the same lesson to galactic diplomacy. On the command bridge, Admiral Jackson was updated. War Commander Kick was in custody. The Dravex leader was being brought to the dyadic chamber, where terms would be negotiated under challenge rules. Curious, Jackson remarked to Rodriguez. He's requested Ambassador Chen's presence. Rodriguez reviewed the comms. Yes, sir. He specifically asked for the human female who speaks in polished deceit. Tell Chen, Jackson said. I suspect she's been waiting for this moment. Inside the diplomatic chamber, War Commander Kick, his towering form somewhat dimmed by loss, faced Ambassador Chen across the treaty table. Federation monitors stood at regulation distance, recording for archival preservation. You misled the galaxy, Kick charged, his translator struggling to convey the emotional depth of his language. You posed as an upstart species, he growled, but wield powers that defy logic. Chen's demeanor stayed controlled, though the usual courteous smile was now gone. The Human Confederation never claimed we were underpowered, she said calmly. We simply let others interpret what we showed them. Your challenge compelled us to reveal what we'd hoped to keep hidden. To what end? Kick asked. What kind of species hides such might? One that knows true strength isn't shown by what you destroy, but by what you choose to spare. Chen leaned in slightly. Humanity's history holds enough warfare to teach us. Revealing your full power invites confrontation. We chose to join galactic society through partnership, not dominance. Kick's gill frills shimmered with what his species understood as reluctant respect. State your victory terms. Chen activated the resolution interface embedded in the table. The Human Confederation formally claims ownership of all contested systems in the Orion Arm, as specified by the challenge's agreed terms. In addition, she continued, the Drax Empire must formally recognize humanity's sovereign right to expand colonies per Federation regulations on unclaimed worlds. Kick examined the display carefully. These terms are oddly restrained. You could request reparations or annex territories from the Drax Corps. We seek no part of Drax holdings, Chen replied plainly. Only what we've earned. And future deterrence. After a pause, Kick pressed his ID tag to the confirmation pad. The Drax accept defeat under formal challenge rules and agree to these conditions. He paused before removing his hand. But one question remains, human. What is Directive 17? What changed your forces so drastically? For the first time since proceedings began, Ambassador Chen allowed a genuine smile. It's simple, War Commander. Humans prefer peace. We entered the galaxy with sincere respect for its elder races and with true hopes of shared prosperity. But we come from a world that made survival a lesson we learned the hard way. She stood, signaling the session's conclusion. Directive 17 accepts a core truth. Politeness is our decision, not our weakness. When that decision no longer serves us, we stop making it. Had the Federation observers recorded this turning point, debates were already erupting across the galaxy, within scientific halls, military councils, and diplomatic corps across 17 sectors. Aboard the Tenacity, Captain Okafor addressed the still-stunned Federation envoys. Your classification will be reassessed immediately, announced the Arcturian delegate. This display places humanity in Tier 1, with limited tech access. Okafor gave a subtle shake of the head. That would be hasty. What you witnessed today was merely what we were forced to expose. The Human Confederation would prefer to return to its prior diplomatic posture. You mean concealment, the Medusan representative accused. I mean courtesy, Okafor corrected. We desire peaceful integration into galactic civilization. We value cultural ties, shared science, and mutual progress, but we also value survival. She motioned toward the view where Drax ships were being methodically towed to Federation recovery stations, without a single one destroyed. What you saw today, she said, is what happens when humans abandon civility. It's why we try to keep it. As Federation delegates departed to compile their reports, Admiral Jackson joined Okafor. Chen finalized the terms, he said. The Drax accepted, surprisingly gracefully. They're old, Okafor said. They know how to adapt when needed. Jackson looked out at the stars. Those humanity once viewed with awe, later with resolve. Do you think they understood the message? He asked softly. Some will, Okafor replied. The wisest will see today wasn't about winning, it was about clarity. And what clarity is that, Captain? She smiled faintly. That in a perilous galaxy, the most dangerous species may be the one that chooses to be kind until it no longer can. As the tenacity turned for Earth, word of the battle's resolution echoed through Federation space. Diplomats speculated, analysts scrambled, and the military took notice.